Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Be Empowered podcast live from BioConference 2025 in Boston. My name is John Freeman. I am the CFO of Biolabs and the head of Biolabs Marketplace. And I'm thrilled to welcome Marcel Frenkel, the co-founder and CEO of 1063 Therapeutics, located in the Biolab space in Durham, North Carolina. Marcel, welcome.
John, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining me. It's good to see you. So tell us a little bit about 1063 and the work that you're doing around cancer involving AI and physics.
Yeah, for sure. So the focus at 1063 is actually apart from the AI that we're doing. The focus is on patients. It's making sure that patients don't run out of options. So what we noticed was that we kind of understood the biology around some really important targets, but they were locked behind really difficult chemistry. So what we've been focused in doing at 1063 is developing the technology required to pursue the right biology, unhindered by chemistry, through achieving two things. The first one is the ability to explore vast chemical spaces without any loss of accuracy. So being able to look beyond, and that's the name of the platform, Beyond, being able to look into where we need to look. And every time that we have gone new places, every time we have explored new things, we found new solutions as a species. So that's something that we're very passionate. And the second one is, when you're looking into new spaces, when you're looking at over 100 trillion molecules, you had to be extremely accurate. So the second thing that we're focused on doing is scaling quantum mechanical calculations so that we can actually model at the atomic level simulations that are indistinguishable from reality. So that's really what we're doing. And I can tell you a little bit more about why it's so important to be accurate. And that's because we're focused on applying AI to a kind of strange place. So normally when you see AI being applied, it's being applied to where there's a lot of data. However, these traditionally undruggable targets, by definition, are data sparse. There's no data, there's nothing to learn that allows you to go into that space. So in these really hard places, you need to be able to simulate and generate your own data.
Okay.
And that's what we're passionate about. And being able to do that has allowed us to pursue some amazing targets like MYC that are, for instance, the second oncogene ever discovered. Over 20,000 publications link it to cancer. It's considered kind of the maestro of cancer, as you will, because it's a transcription factor that coordinates over 12,000 genes. And there are no drugs. There's never been a true drug against MYC. The best thing that we have is this mini protein that's now in clinical trials, but its PKPD suffers from issues.
Okay.
So we're really thinking about how do you make a small molecule that can go after these intrinsically disordered proteins and that are very challenging, and that's what we're focused on as a company.
Got it. And tell me, insofar as the cancer therapies that you're targeting, are there specific types of cancers that you're working on? Is it more broad-based that this will be applicable to?
Yeah, so we're going for impact to patients without options. So we want to have a broad impact across cancers, but that doesn't mean that we don't have indications that we're focused on. So there are two cancers that we are very passionate about. One is pancreatic cancer, which unfortunately for way too many patients is something that's still very difficult to treat.
And that's what you mean by with limited options.
Limited options.
For the patient.
Exactly. And, the reason that we started 1063, actually, my mom was one of these patients with pancreatic cancer. And the first thing that we did is we got her tumor sequenced, and sure enough, there were, the usual suspects that were modified. Pancreatic cancer actually has a well-understood genetic signature. But we took it to doctor after doctor, and they said, hey, there's nothing we can do. These are undruggable targets. And that's when we realized that these patients could really do an advancements in drug discovery. And that was the motivation behind starting 1063.
That's amazing. Amazing. So you're part of the Biolabs North Carolina site in Durham. Tell us a little bit about your experience in Biolabs and the community and maybe how it's helped 1063 advance.
Yeah, 100%. Innovation can never occur in a vacuum. You need great talent, you need a great environment, and we've been very happy with where we are because, it just creates a community around that. But it's more for us also the access to equipment. So one thing that was very important when we were getting started was we're going after these diverse, challenging targets. We're going to need a lot of different pieces of technology, a lot of different, platforms to be able to ask the questions that we want to ask. And at the time that we started, we didn't have the capital to just, build up the
science
instrumentation.
is hard. It costs a lot of money.
And you don't, and you want to invest in what you're best at. You don't want to invest on instruments that you might use for a small phase and then stop using or transfer to another platform to answer difficult questions. So the flexibility of having multiple experimental platforms at our disposal was really something that was key. And the last thing was the location. Biolabs in North Carolina, in Durham, is downtown. And as we were building the team, it was just easy to get people to get downtown, and so that was really great.
And they've done a great job in that building with the Chesterfields.
Yeah. And it's kind of there's a romanticism to it of being in an old tobacco factory.
Right, I know.
Developing cancer therapeutics.
I know.
The irony is romantic. So
it is.
It's good to see that
almost
building.
Serendipitous.
Yeah, and it's good to see that building being used to kind of maybe, and maybe to in some ways, fix the harm that it's done. So it's been kind of exciting. I
think that's accurate. That's really good to hear. I'm really happy to hear that. So the theme of our podcast is innovation can't wait. Can you tell me sort of how that could translate to the kind of work that you guys are doing at 1063?
Yeah. Well, if you've ever met a patient, the need is urgent. The patient that's facing cancer today and their families, they don't want to know about solutions that you're going to bring 10 years from now, right?
They need it today.
They need it today. And, one of the regrets that we have is that we're still slow. No matter how much we accelerate drug discovery, when you meet a patient, you understand, hey, I needed this solution yesterday. If I get it tomorrow, it's already too late. So I think, every person in the space, everybody in this conference, I think hopefully feels the need to, hey, we need to deliver today. We need to deliver as fast as possible. And we have a responsibility to patients to be, fearless and just focused on creating great therapies that can solve real problems and bring lasting impact to patients' lives. And we need to do this as fast as possible.
Absolutely. And I think you said it really well, and it sort of brings it all full circle in that, what Biolabs is trying to do ultimately is improve the lives of patients. And you guys are a great example of that. So we certainly appreciate what you do, and I want to thank you for joining us today. And that wraps up another edition of Be Empowered Now.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.